Poilpede Works here. And whoo boy, look at them boiled eggs, boys. Delicious. Look at her. Look at the form. Look at them boiled eggs. Look at her. So yeah. Anyway, I come to you today talking about chapter 1051 of One Piece. Here's the thing, okay? When you're talking about crew members, and I hear really for like the past, oh boy, it's been 4 years, so maybe the past three or so, or at least two, about half the time, people have talked about Tama and how she could possibly be a cabin girl for the crew. Here's the problem with that. Those people who are really championing Tama and want her to be a part of the crew, I don't think they have actually read or watched any bit of the One Piece franchise at all. And I know that's a very harsh thing to say, but you have to understand, at least as far back as Skypiea, there has always been a little girl or a little child character that's a local that's just kind of a not an audience surrogate, but a person who pulls on the heartstrings that makes the reader or watcher interested in the trials and tribulations of the island. They are set pieces. They're characters, but they're set pieces. They aren't built to be main characters. Tama, by how she is presented, is not meant to be in the story for 500 or so more chapters. It just wouldn't be possible. Because break it down like this, okay? What is Tama? Tama is a beast tamer. She feeds kibidongos to animals and controls them for a month, right? Okay. And afterward, they can decide whether they want to stay or leave or not. We got a breakdown of that in this chapter. That's fine. However, now you're presenting a situation in which if she were to join the crew, first of all, she's a liability because she's a little girl. Therefore, she needs to be saved all the time because she can't fight. And we have people who can act like the damsels in distress already, such as Nami, such as Usopp, such as Robin. Basically, everybody. Everybody can be that. Luffy has been that, Zoro has been that, Brook has been that, etc., etc., etc. Whole Cake Island was basically a whole arc about Sanji, one of the headline fighters, being somebody captured and held in a place against his will. So you don't need a designated character to be that, all right? Secondly, you mean to tell me now, in order for her power to be useful, there has to be a designated fauna for each island for her to control every time. That's a lot. On top of that, we have now two beast tamers in the crew right now, one of which is a little suspect because actually his ability isn't as useful as previously thought because we're not at sea. Half the story is being on an island. So, okay. But breaking that down real quick, Chomper. Chomper, time and time and time and time and time again, talks to animals. Plot points, such as in Water 7, or more so like the end of Water 7 going into Edna's lobby, and in Alabasta, were centered around his ability to talk to animals. His ability to talk to animals is super diverse. He's talked to crabs, he's talked to other mammals, he's talked to sea creatures such as the King Yargable things, Sodom and Gomorrah, the two huge seahorse things that the Frankie family had, right? He talks to them, so he can talk to any animal. Any animal. You don't need a beast tamer when you have a beast who can communicate with animals and tame them. Jinbei is also the same thing. He's just Chomper in that regard, but quicker. Because when Chomper enlists the aid of a animal companion, timing and planning kind of need to be set up by Oda. So what I mean by that is the animal needs to be introduced. Chomper needs to build up some sort of small rapport with them, either on screen or off screen, or it has to be suggested. With Jinbei at sea, he can just call them out and summon them, much like Aquaman. So Jinbei's ability to summon fish is just Chomper's ability to talk to animals with less planning. But fair enough. That's cool. That's fine. We have that already. That's why Yamato, just based on all of what I said in 1050, all of that, all of this planning, it's almost been what the last 2 years of this arc running has just been Yamato propaganda. She has been in multiple advertisements, multiple covers of Jump, everywhere, anywhere Yamato has been. Now, got a little tidbit for those of you who were in the Yamato camp and against Carrot. You think I might be extending an olive branch to you, but Carrot, first of all, is in this chapter by herself, no Wanda. That's very interesting. Second of all, how did she get on the boat in the first place? She was a stowaway, right? She just popped on the boat and nobody noticed. What do you think is going to happen when they leave Wano? Wouldn't it be thematically appropriate, like how things were in the beginning as they are in the end? Wouldn't it be very appropriate if she were to just, again, pop up out of nowhere? Unlike Tama, much like Frankie, even, Carrot is the mink representative. Jinbei not necessarily is the Fishman representative because we had a lot of knowledge about Fishman and Fishman karate before Jinbei came onto the scene, before he was even introduced in the manga. What Jinbei is sort of like a secondary impact of themes, much like Kuma. Kuma was a reintroduction to the concept of cyborgs. However, Frankie was the initial introduction of cyborgs. Before Frankie, cyborgs didn't exist, not in any official capacity anyway. The term cyborg is associated with Frankie. If you go on the One Piece wiki page, Frankie is the headliner for cyborgs. And then Kuma is the sort of reintroduction of the concept as to say, oh no, Frankie isn't the sole cyborg in the One Piece world. There are far more advanced cyborgs by the government. Then we see later with Queen, people who have the knowledge actually go out and modify themselves, etc., etc. Same with Jinbei. We're introduced with Fishman Karate in Arlong Park, and we see all these different forms. But then when Jinbei is introduced, we see there's Fishman Karate and there's Fishman Jiu-Jitsu that goes hand in hand with it, as to show that yes, this is the height of this martial art, because as far as we know, Jinbei is the sole master of these two martial arts, those being Fishman Karate and Fishman Jiu-Jitsu. Now, with Carrot, Carrot is the introduction to minks, the official introduction to minks and all of what they can do. In-depth and full breath introduction to what a mink truly is lies with Carrot. Carrot is the main mink. And like with Yamato, Carrot has been getting pushed all the time in the media. There was a whole filler in the anime that had Carrot in it. So, what do you think is going to happen at the end of this Kaido saga with Carrot? I think she too is going to be a main character. You don't have a character be around other characters and develop a very specific relationship with other characters just for her to go away. Going down the list real quick, Luffy calls her by name, something that he has not called Yamato yet, which is interesting because I think that'll probably change very soon. Okay? She is the only female now, because she's young, that Brooke and Sanji do not hit on. Very interesting. Thirdly, she is the only person on the crew now that would be younger than Chomper. So you would still have like a naive child surrogate, but now it allows Chomper room to grow as a character because now he has somebody younger than him that he's responsible for. And this is the first time Chomper has referred to anybody as a sister. And what's also great about the two of them is that they meet a sort of want and or desire that the community has been going on about for decades, as long as I've been around. I believe this started back in Skypiea with Conus. People wanted a fish out of water female. So anytime one shows up, the community sort of clambers around them. But the problem is that none of these females had that much clout narratively to actually be added to the crew, or they didn't have as many interactions to support their case. So, say Conus, when you got right down to it, Isa was kind of the main female. Isa and Nami were the main females of Skypiea. Conus didn't really go that far anywhere. You wind it back down to another popular one, Marguerite and Amazon Lily. Marguerite took a backseat to Boa Hancock in every possible fashion imaginable. Uh, I mean, she's not in any promotional material. She's not in any video games. She's barely in the anime. And when Boa Hancock shows up, she kind of shows up, so she's kind of just tethered to her. But the want there was we have a capable female who can defend herself and is also a fish out of water, which presents some very funny narrative aspects with them traveling around away from their home island. With Carrot and Yamato, you basically have two variants of that. You have the Captain Cave Woman Country Bumpkin variant, which is basically just female Luffy, but it's more interesting because she has a totally different life than Luffy, and she'll just take a very uncivilized, hardline approach. And then you have sort of the childish curiosity that Carrot brings because she sees the sea as a wonderland. You have these two characters who are obsessed with adventure and want to experience the world. That's sort of like the bread and butter of what it means to be a Straw Hat pirate. Everyone on the crew has a dream that involves adventure, except for Jinbei. The point is, if adventure is on the table for a character, look at them with very close eyes because most likely they are highly, highly, highly presented or going to be looked at as a main character. Simple as that.